Clip of Freedom here, back with another episode video, and today we're going over the balance adjustment for February 16th. And so these I'm usually excited for because we get to see what new units are going to be buffed, but this month, I don't know, there are quite a few units that could use buffs. And the ones that they chose for this month's buffs, I don't know. So we got Ambitious Tywin. If you were here in the Golden Boys era, you know that he run rampant, right? So he's getting a buff. Melissa, for the 50th time, is getting a buff. Kise, Fairy Tale Tenebra, which is a limited unit. Mui, Church of Eros Axe, and Chaos Sect Axe are both getting buffs. And then we're getting buffs to Guide to a Decision, and Wall of Order. So let's start with Ambitious Tywin. So it looks like for his Icy Sword Storm, this is where he S1s you, he can provoke you, right? Remove souls. But now when the caster is enraged, ignores effect res. So he has a built-in ignore effect res. And his main thing is getting that enrage, right? The enrage buff, because now he ignores effect res. So why build effect resistance on your units, right? When you just got Ambitious Tywin. He has his battle command, right? Which does dispel 1 debuff from all allies. But now he gets enrage, right? This is where he gets it from his passive, right? So has a 100% chance to dispel 1 debuff from all allies when an ally is debuffed after the caster is attacked, and enrages the caster for 1 turn. So that's how he activates the enrage, right? So his flash, this is his S3, right? Attacks all enemies with an instant sword storm with an 80% chance each to stun for 1 turn and decrease defense for 2 turns. So they added a defense break, AoE defense break on his S3, still 80% chance, right? When the caster is enraged, ignores effect res. So he has a built-in soul burn effect res, defense break, stun on his S3. Sure, right? Because why does a Tywin need something like that? You know, the way that I would have gone about it is, I think he's fine where he is, but just make him more of a support tank, right? His main job is to cleanse, right? To cleanse debuffs, kind of support, also bruise the enemy team, right? He can be built as a bruiser because that's kind of his main role, or it was before, right? Keep someone locked down, cleanse, but you can actually control a Tywin. You just overload him with debuffs, and then it's pretty much GG, right? So he only dispels one debuff, right? That's kind of the thing. But then you activate his enrage, and then he can start ignoring your effect res. It's a little broken, but I think they could have gone a few other ways with it. Just have him cleanse, right? Maybe don't put his battle command on a cooldown, right? He cleanses every time he's up. Maybe that's a little too broken, right? But keep in mind that his cleanse is only once per turn, so it is on a cooldown. The enrage buff that he's getting with the ignore effect res, that seems pretty broken. Okay, it seems pretty broken, but we'll see, because his biggest counters are units that can put up immunity, right? You can't get defense broken, you can't get stunned if you are immune, and then units that can overwhelm him with debuffs. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Melissa, because you know Melissa needed another buff, right? She's been buffed, I think, a total of 4 times already. Nobody uses Melissa. Stop buffing Melissa. I get it. Some of us like Melissa. She has a very good design style in Epic 7, but they keep trying to make this unit work for whatever reason. I'm not too sure why, but there are plenty of other units that they could be trying to buff, right? Like mainly Ilanov, right? So Ilanov is one of those units that I think is in a really good spot to be a good fire bruiser. And I think that's really what we need right now, right? So Melissa, okay. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's lost health. So this is on her manifestation. Attacks the enemy by unleashing their inner rage before granting immortality and immunity to the caster for 1 turn. This skill cooldown is reset when the enemy is defeated. The damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's lost health. So she's getting kind of like a damage buff. She's acquiring 3 souls. And then on her curse, Blood Bloom, a portion of the damage inflicted on all allies except for the target by a single attack. So, I mean, she's getting more damage, right? She's getting the ability to deal more damage, curse damage increased. From what I've seen, people that use Melissa can like one-shot like 1 to 2 to 3 units, right? And just cycle through that. So it's, I don't know, it's going to be kind of tough to see if the damage really does anything for her in PvP. For sure, GVG, right? Because you can run a bit more things there, but yeah, we'll see. Kise, more damage dealt increase, barrier strength increase, right? So I don't know if Kise really needed more damage. The Kises that I've been hit by have one-shot my squishy units, even my non-squishy units, right? But I guess because of skill change arrow wall, right? It's a bit harder to get through that all of that mitigation. So I mean, they're buffing another water unit, I guess. Fairy Tale Tenebria is the limited unit that they're buffing for this balance update. So 1 pair before attacks the enemy with a mystical power with a 45% chance each to inflict 2 poison effects for 1 turn. This is her S1. Now there's a 75% chance to inflict redirected provoke. So I think this is something that she should have came out with from the very beginning. Poison doesn't really do anything for her kit. The redirected provoke does, right? You want whatever unit that you hit with your S3 to get provoked, right? And to hit your tanky unit because of her wild card. So when an ally is attacked by an enemy inflicted with provoke or redirected provoke, activate shuffle, right? And her shuffle can potentially hit you with like a defense break and some other debuffs, right? Decreased defense, silence, and they added decreased speed here. So I mean, I guess additional damage amount increase. So I mean, they kind of made her slightly more fit for her role, right? Which is super control. Super control. So they removed unhealable and put decreased speed, which I think is fine. Mui. So we actually tested out Mui. We tried her out. I believe she got buffs, or she got either buffed or an EE that we were trying out. But she wasn't in a good spot. So let's see what they do. Lash. Attacks with a whip with a 75% chance to target for 2 turns now. Before it was just a random debuff. And this is where she had her soul burn. So I think it's fine. Target debuff allows your team to deal more damage, right? Punishment calls upon a tamed monster to attack all enemies with a 50% chance each to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns and an 80% chance to stun for 1 turn. So this is her S3, right? 80% chance to stun and bleeding. Now she's getting a damage dealt decrease to this, so it's getting a slight damage nerf. But if you soul burn this, you get -2 cooldown on all skills. So I mean, I guess it helps her cycle faster. Now for sure you're not going to build her as damage, because before that's kind of what we did. Her multipliers were actually really good, so she's able to do a lot of damage. But now they're kind of removing that. They're nerfing her damage. For more of that control aspect of her kit, right? Grand Finale drives monsters forward to attack all enemies. Dispelling 2 buffs increases combat readiness of the caster by 25% per critical hit. So before, it would just dispel 2 buffs. That's it. That's all her Grand Finale would do. Now it's increasing her CR by 25% per crit. It's a 5-turn cooldown. You do get 2 souls. So you're ideally soul burning that punishment, right? So her imprint concentration is switched to effectiveness. I don't particularly like this. I think, maybe increase her stun chance to 100%. I don't think that she needs those bleeding effects. Something else is needed there, right? Maybe decrease speed. But I mean, I guess you want her to do some damage. the thing is that she's very squishy, right? She is very, very squishy. That's why we went like max damage on her. And she did really good on max damage. But again, very squishy unit is going to be really tough, I think, to still run her. Because, you know, why would you run her instead of like another unit that can potentially push your entire team, right? Or another unit that's going to be a bit tankier, that is going to be able to survive some counters, right? Because she doesn't have anything that can't counter her. And then her attacks are AoEs, right? And you can get devastated by AoE count. All right, so her EE now is getting changed. So she did get an EE before. She got a chance to get an extra turn, 35% chance. Now she grants enhanced dual attack to the ally with the highest attack after using Grand Finale. You know, I don't know. I don't think that she's still in a decent spot, but I mean, I guess we'll see, right? And so the last here is the 3-star Moonlight Axe God, right? And so just kind of based on his buffs, they just, I'm not too sure, you know, what they were thinking with buffing him again. I guess they want him to be a dark bait, right? Because now they're giving him a 60% chance to provoke for 1 turn on his attack chain. He is getting 1 soul, so it did get nerfed because before it was 2 souls. And so, I mean, after being attacked by a light elemental target, has a 100% chance to increase effectiveness for 1 turn. And he does have the ability to counterattack, right? So he provokes the enemy team. And then if he, or I guess what would have made sense was if he got hit, maybe he would have a chance to counter or something like that. But it's when an ally is attacked by a light elemental enemy, has a 15% chance to counterattack with attack chain. So, I mean, 15% chance to AoE, right? I think it's not too bad. His imprint concentration is also moved from attack to critical hit chance. So it should be a lot easier to build him because now you can move the crit chance into HP, defense, attack, crit damage, right? So I don't know. I mean, maybe this max or increased in damage is going to help a little bit, but I don't ever see using him. 5-star artifacts now. We have Guide to a Decision. So Guide to a Decision, there's a 50 to 100% chance to grant a barrier equivalent to up to 20% of the caster's max health for 2 turns. Now they increased it up to 30%. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. Just bigger barrier, right? Wall of Order. This one I think is probably the winner out of all of these. So Wall of Order, this is at the start of the turn for each buff granted to the enemy, has a 4 to 8% chance to grant the caster increased attack for 1 turn. Before, you did have to use an AoE attack, okay? But now there's up to a 10% chance to grant increased attack. So a higher chance, right? But you do have to fully limit break that to get the maximum chance. And at the end of the turn, grant a barrier equivalent to up to 50% of the caster's attack. So giving survivability, higher increased chance to get that gab, right, for rangers. So, I mean, you know, overall, I don't think that the buffs are great. I mean, maybe except for a Tywin, but, you know, there are plenty of other units that I would have liked to have seen here. Like, I would like to see Narunka, right? She came out and literally did nothing. Right? I hoped that she would potentially get buffed. I think Ilanov could potentially be a really good fire bruiser if they just buffed her in the slightest way. You know, Moonlight units that haven't been touched in a long time, mainly LR Crow. I don't have him, but I think, you know, with a slight tweak, he could be really useful in the meta or in the current meta. But, you know, who knows what other units they're going to bring out that these might counter. You know, Fairy Tale Tenebra is a limited unit, but I don't think she really needed any kind of buff. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who did you want to see buffed in this update? Did you think it was going to be another Melissa buff? Let me know. Like always, if you haven't enjoyed the video, hit that like button if you haven't subscribed. Hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.